I'm literally sat in a bush outside my ex's house. It's raining, but I've got his TV remote. My feet are so big! Work. I can't see what I'm doing!
That's stupid! You're stupid! Stop being stupid!
I don't know, gentlemen and gents, something about this isn't really passing the smell test. Now, I suppose it's possible, but that this woman is stealthy enough that she's able to control this guy's TV while her face is practically plastered against his window while changing the channels using a remote she pocketed, but I don't know. I think in order for that to happen, she'd have to be rolling nat 20s on her stealth checks, or this guy's just a massively oblivious idiot. But to be fair, this guy is an ex of a modern woman, so that is actually kind of plausible. But we're also living in the era of TikTok where people think it's totally fine to commit literal crimes if it means scoring some internet clout. It is a platform that's made people so dumb that they'll commit crimes in order to get some internet clout. I mean, just take a look at the guy who sprayed poison all over the produce at his local Walmart. So I'm giving 50-50 odds at this point that this video is a skit. What do you think, gentlemen and gents? Leave your predictions in the comments section down below.
Where are you going? Where are you going? What's he doing? Come back. Come back now. What's my on? No, I don't.
Hey, are we criminals just because we committed a crime?
Oh, that's good.
Okay, if we're going under the assumption that this woman is being legitimate and trying to terrorize her ex with mild inconveniences, then she just literally committed breaking and entering just to mess with this poor guy's couch. And she was dumb enough to film it, which means that there is incontrovertible proof that she committed a crime. And then she had the bright idea to post it on TikTok for the entire planet to witness. Now remember, idiots on TikTok believe that it's not a crime if they're having fun doing it. At this point, if it's a skit or not, it really doesn't matter because it's just promoting illegal and sociopathic behavior in exchange for likes and terrorizing some guy who broke up with her for most likely legitimate reasons. And on top of all of that, there's going to be a bunch of women out there who are going to think this is funny and actually say that he deserved it because he's her ex-boyfriend and all men are evil. And even if it's a prank, it's a stupid one that's not really funny. It's just annoying and mean-spirited. So in other words, it's right up the modern woman's alley.
Gentlemen, what brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack.
Hey woman, I don't think you fully appreciate how lucky you are to be alive right now. Allow me to explain. You just broke into a man's house. He had absolutely no idea that you were there or was expecting you. You just ran in there and started rummaging around and then ran away. If this guy was armed and you were a home invader, your life would be in danger because people will defend their homes if they believe that someone that shouldn't be there has entered. Now, at this point, it doesn't matter if it's a skit or not. This promotes incredibly stupid and profoundly dangerous activities. Now, your average modern woman has the IQ of a three-toed sloth, and that is on the highest spectrum of intellect, mind you. So you know that there's some modern woman out there who sees this as a hilarious idea and will actually go through with it, and that could have some massive consequences. And I'm not just talking about on the legal end here, but we're also dealing with modern women here. It's not exactly like foresight is their strong suit.
You know that. Of course I do, sir. Everybody knows that. Of course we do, sir.
This is how you're gonna find your perfect partner. It sounds super woo-woo, but I had a therapist coming out of a 6-year relationship tell me to write out exactly to a T, even describe what this man looked like on a piece of paper and my non-negotiables. To say I was skeptical would be an understatement, but I did it and I wrote everything down. I think it was like 60 attributes. Hold on, there's baby crying. The show must go on.
I am Jack's complete lack of surprise.
You know what? I gotta hand it to the modern therapist. They figured out a way to cash in on the delusions of the modern woman and keep them perpetually single, thus guaranteeing that they will never run out of work. There are countless therapists out there with an endless client list of modern women who are all single and miserable. And at that point, the therapist doesn't need to do any actual work. They just need to say whatever stupid crap comes into their heads, and the women will follow it as if it were gospel. There are tens of thousands of videos of modern single women who start their statements with, "My therapist said," and then that therapist just goes to say something incredibly ridiculous. And then the best part is that this therapist will receive an electronic transfer of money, which they will promptly transfer to their own therapist to deal with their own problems. Now, don't get me wrong, therapy can be useful if you have the right person and you're using it for the right purposes. I'm not knocking therapy. If anything, I'm giving mad props to the modern therapist for being able to create a seemingly endless stream of revenue. Nicely done.
I wouldn't say that I was necessarily ready when I found Marco, but I am a firm believer in God's timing, not my own. You can plan out your entire life, and eventually God is going to work through his divine intervention to make your life, I would believe, even better than you could have ever anticipated. Pretty soon after Marco and I started dating, I knew I was gonna marry him. I was like, oh shit, this is the man. And I found that journal not thinking, and he marked off all the boxes and more. It was crazy.
The dreaded Marco.
For any of you out there who are legitimately curious as to this list and how the dreaded Marco actually fits all of these categories, well, the good news is I have a massive spy network on planet Earth, and they were able to obtain this list. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the attributes that Marco actually fills. Let's see here. Number 1, he must be hot. Okay. Number 4, he must have a European name. Number 8, he must be incredibly good looking. Lucky number 13, the man must be attractive. All right, no real surprise there. Number 22, I don't know about this one. There's just a bunch of winky face emojis there. Number 37, must remind me and help me forget about my father. Oh, here's a good one. Number 39, must be okay with buying me tampons in bulk without complaining. I don't think Marco fit that particular bill. Oh, here's a good one. Number 42, he must remember the anniversary to our anniversary. Numbers 48 through 55 just have a bunch of dollar signs. Number 57, he must be a massive Twilight fan. And then number 60, forget 1 through 59 if the man is hot. And I gotta admit, with a list like this, Marco is one lucky man the day he breaks up with her. Well, that's if they're actually together. I think we all know that he's just porking her until someone better comes along. Then she'll complain to her therapist and write yet a longer list with the same attributes, and the cycle will continue. This episode is brought to you with a well-deserved shout out to the members of the Bounty Board over on Patreon, whose continued support of this channel is keeping things going during these dark times. Gentlemen and gents, words cannot describe my gratitude for your support. Thank you so much. All hail! And if you enjoy this brand of content, check out the Bounty Board over on Patreon. For the low price of $5 a month, you can get access to exclusive content you're not going to find anywhere else. I post twice a week covering on a variety of subjects, from Tales from the Lockverse, movies, video games, and everything in between. The link is in the pinned comment down below.
I'm really sick of getting cheated on, so next time I get into a relationship, I'm gonna be running that shit like TSA, like airport security. When he gets off of work and he comes home, I'm gonna be like, laptops, iPads, all electronics in the fucking containers for screening.
That's the joke.
Alright, I see where you're going with this. You want to create a tyrannical system of incredible invasive inconveniences while also creating an illusion of security and contentment. Alright, that's an interesting plan there, sister. But just a heads up, this plan of yours isn't really going to work because much like the actual TSA, they actually cause more problems than they actually solve. And there's only really 2 types of people who actually participate in this system. The type of people who just want to get through the day by doing their jobs, and the other people who get high off of the power trip of controlling people who are already going through enough stress as it is. I think we know which category you want to fall into. I hate to break it to you, sister, but if you're going to enter into a relationship with the notion that you're going to be a power-hungry tyrant, I really don't think it's going to end the way you think. Unless your goal is to just get an entire group of men to become alienated and dread the sight of you, well then, hey, more power to you, sister. Keep it up.
Good luck.
I think one of the biggest scams sold by the patriarchy is the idea that women need to like earn a man's love, or like a man's love is like up here and a woman's love is just like a guarantee, so you don't need to feel lucky to have that, and like having a man is something to aspire to. And it's not the same way in the reverse, even though having a woman, having a wife is a lot more beneficial than having a husband and having a boyfriend. Just the idea that a woman needs to bend over backwards and like be this and that, and like basically advertise herself in order to get a man to like pick her and marry her and all that stuff. It's a fucking scam. It is a fucking joke.
Hey woman, the only thing that's a joke is you trying to sit there and justify being completely worthless and saying that makes you a catch. If a man is going to allow you into his life where he opens up his heart and gives you his trust, respect, love, and loyalty, then yes, you actually do have to do something to earn that. Just because you believe that you're a less than mediocre looking goddess being enough for a relationship does not necessarily make it true. Men control access to the relationships, and if you want a relationship with a man, then you are going to have to do some things to make that man believe you are worth his time. And if you believe that it's the onus of the man to prove himself to you, well, then you've already made yourself dead set on being single for the rest of your life, so there really is no helping you. You use the patriarchy as an excuse to justify your unpleasant behavior, as well as your sheer amount of laziness when it comes to trying to make a relationship work. And you sit there completely oblivious to the idea that you being an unpleasant individual is what's keeping you perpetually single, thus proving that the patriarchy is the scam here.
And then like women having to give ultimatums or say like, if you don't marry me, then I am going to leave. Those things are fucking ridiculous when you think about the fact that when a man acquires a wife, he gets someone that's going to be cooking for him, cleaning for him, doing the majority of the caretaking if you guys have kids together, just carrying so much of the mental load of the relationship. It's such a ridiculous concept that you would even have to talk someone into wanting that. It's a fucking joke. It's a manipulation tactic to make you feel like you are so special to be chosen by someone you are going to be waiting on hand and foot for the next 50 fucking years. Even if you do get lucky enough to end up with someone that does believe in splitting everything, when it comes down to it, the woman is typically the one carrying the mental load that is being drained and having to plan everything out for everybody, handle all the doctor's appointments, handle things when it comes to school, and like be really involved in that. Like that's just how it typically tends to go. So it's fucking crazy. The idea that women feel like they need to like,
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
God, lady, we get it. You don't know how to cook and you're a slob. Just admit it already. You're sitting there and talking about how marriage is just some bum deal for the woman because the man's going to expect her to cook and clean every once in a while. But what are you offering in return? You're pretty much just saying that no matter what a man does, no matter how hard he works to try to make a marriage last, it's not going to be good enough because you're going to be expected to pull some form of weight, and that idea infuriates you. But I actually do agree. Modern marriages are a scam and a massive joke when it comes to men. Men are expected to step up and do everything. They are expected to provide the money, the home, the food, the cleaning, while the woman just sits around and pretends like she's pretty. And then, once the woman decides that she's quote-unquote unhappy, she takes that man to divorce court and fleeces him for everything that he has. So answer me this, what benefit does a man have for a marriage when she has made it abundantly clear that she's not willing to do anything? I'll give you a hint because you seem kind of slow. There is no benefit.
Bend over backwards to get a man to marry them or something, or like the man isn't the one winning in the end, because that's the reality. They are the ones winning in the end.
Are you sure?
Woman, the mental load is nothing but a load of crap. It's an imaginary concept that you invented in order to complain about something. Whenever a modern wife complains about the mental load, it's always about thinking. I mean, not even hard thinking. Basic scheduling, driving people around. Yeah, human beings have to think. We've been doing it for a while, and you don't get to just opt out of it because you feel oppressed. But the mental load argument is fantastic because it operates under the assumption that men are incapable of thinking. And this idea is backed by literally nothing, and you base this off of assumptions that you just conjured up in your own head. Believe it or not, sister, men actually think about quite a few things, especially when it comes to his family. He needs to worry about keeping them safe. He needs to make sure they're getting enough to eat. He has to make sure the finances are in order so they don't lose the house. And in your case, he has to think of 1.5 million different ways to keep you happy so you don't end up divorcing him. But I guess none of that counts because we don't have the required plumbing in order to bitch about your mental load.
You know you're really just full of shit. There's the John. Okay?
I laugh every single time I see anything about like the male loneliness epidemic because every woman I know is like the most beautiful, considerate, thoughtful, lovely person and is trying to find love.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
And then every man I encounter is fumbling the baddest bitch on the planet because of their own ego or own self issues. I was supposed to go on a first date a week ago. This was with somebody that I had met in real life through a friend. We got along super well. He was doing everything right leading up to the date. He was like calling me and texting me and being really sweet and even like texting our mutual friend and being like, oh, like, what does Tanya like? And he was doing great. However, we were supposed to go out Saturday during the day. On Friday night, we were on the phone just chatting, and he asked me to send him my location, and I said no. I was like, you don't need to know my address. We've only met once. Like, I don't know you like that. I told you my neighborhood. If you're trying to figure out how far you are from me, that's all you really need to know. And when I said that, he was like, oh, why? Do you think I'm gonna abduct and kidnap you?
A smelly fish.
And it's not a card.
Yeah, that didn't happen. There is no chance in HE double hockey sticks that scenario ever happened. That's the thing about these modern women. They're always creating these false scenarios just for TikTok content. There is no man with any sense of awareness who's going to be dumb enough to say that when we live in a society where if you so much as look at a woman, it's grounds for arrest. Just take a look at the state of the Western world. It doesn't even need to be that extreme. A modern woman can look at any guy that she wants and just assume because she's the baddest bee to ever walk the face of the earth that she can punish him for being a man by falsely accusing him of things despite his rock-solid alibis in response to his clear lack of attraction to you. So when we take a look at that massive minefield that you set up for us, there is no way that a man's going to be dumb enough to make that statement when talking to you. But if you weren't conjuring up these scenarios in your mind, then you would have nothing to talk about on TikTok, and we kind of wish that would actually come into fruition because you have absolutely nothing to say.
And I was like, no, but I don't know you. I'm not sending you my address. And then I decided to let it slide because sometimes people just say dumb things and they don't think about it. I didn't genuinely get a feeling of unsafety or danger. But then the next day, like 30 minutes before we're supposed to meet, we were supposed to go to this market thing together and then maybe like go to a park to play chess. And he was like, hey, like let's skip the market. And then he had planned out like this whole day, and I was like, yeah, that sounds great, but I do really want to go to the market as well, so like maybe we can do both. To which his response was, Tanya, you're making it really hard to abduct and kidnap you. How are you making this statement twice? It wasn't funny the first time you did it. It's still not funny the second time you did it. So when he said that to me, I was like, hey, you might not want to make comments like that to a woman that you barely know.
Liar, liar, your pants on fire.
Well, the good news is he never made that comment because what you're talking about didn't happen. The mantra of the modern woman is to only go out on dates that would be fun, and you're talking about playing chess, which is kryptonite to the average modern woman, and even if you were a chess player, I am fairly certain that guy would be able to mate you in less than 4 moves. It's obvious to all of us thanks to your inability to be able to tell a believable story. These stories are formulaic to a fault. There's always a guy who's good looking and you're excited to go out with him, but then he says says something or does something that just makes you feel unsafe. It's like freaking clockwork with you people. And the stories always end with you sticking up for yourself in the most unimaginative way possible and telling everybody that you're strong and independent and won't take no crap while simultaneously being a victim. And all of these stories have something in common, and it always has to do with you shitting all over men because the men you want don't want to date you because you are incredibly insufferable.
And he was like, oh, my sense of humor is just like dark and offensive. If that's a deal breaker for you, let me know. And I was like, no, dark and offensive humor I'm fine with. My therapist literally told me that I had the darkest sense of humor of anyone she's ever met. But I was like, jokes are generally funny. And then instead of apologizing at this point, he just doubled down and he said, TBH, I don't really appreciate being told how to socialize. Motherfucker, what? First of all, I didn't tell you how to socialize. All I said was, jokes are generally funny. Second of all, it sounds like you do need someone to tell you how to socialize because, oh my god, what is wrong with you? And then I was like, hey, I don't really appreciate being told that I'm going to get abducted and kidnapped by someone I'm about to go on a date with, so I'm just going to go ahead and cancel this. And I did. And all of this is to say, if you see anything about the male loneliness epidemic and you're a male and you're wondering why, just know it is of your own doing. We are trying, but good fucking God, get your shit together.
I don't think any of that's true.
Woman, the only thing that you're trying to do is convince the world that men actually want to date you. Now, I will agree, we are actually looking at a massive loneliness problem between men and women, but that's because you keep adding fuel to the fire by talking smack about men. I mean, you said it yourself with your opening. All the women you know are kind and funny and perfect, and it's the men who keep screwing everything up, and yet you're the one that's in therapy and clearly getting nothing out of it. So it's come to the point where the majority of men have just decided to check out and walk away from women like you because there is no benefit to even talking to you because you're just gonna lie about them anyways. And those men have walked away in droves to the point where nobody's willing to talk to you, so you're forced to create nonsense stories that never happened in order to gain sympathy for your loneliness. And it's clear to all of us through your ranting and raving that you do not have your ish together, nor are you actually willing to make any attempt to do so because at the end of the day, you would rather be single than be a pleasant person. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.